Evening guys, I'm Peter Rainford and you are watching Rainford's Brew Lab. In this video I am going to be making some apple and pear session cider. I can't wait for this is going to taste great. So ingredients, we're going to need some apple and pear juice. This was from Waitrose, £2. We're going to need obviously some yeast. I'm going to use Lalvin D47 for this. We only need 1 gram or 2 because I'm just making a micro batch, test batch in a 1.4 litre fermenter here. You can brew this in the bottle if you like. If you want to know how to do that, go watch one of my other dozens of videos where I brew in the bottle. It's so simple. If you've got a fermenter, use it. That keeps the microplastic boys off my back. Right, so we need the juice, we need some yeast. Don't have to use Lalvin D47. You could use Lalvin EC1118. You could even use some bread yeast if you need to. This Lalvin D47 will retain a lot of the fruity flavours and I've got a lot of it. That's why I'm using it. Right, now I've got some optional extras here. I've got some, for lack of a better thing, some Aspel cider vinegar here, and that's mainly because I don't have any lemon. Else I would add a teaspoon of lemon juice to this just to give it that bite, a little bit of acidity. I've got some wine tannin, of which I'm going to add just 1/8 of a teaspoon. If you don't have powdered wine tannin, you can just add some tea, literally just a tea bag in, I don't know, maybe 50 millilitres of water. Let it steep for a good 5 minutes in hot water, obviously boiled water. Let it cool before you add it, and that will give you the desired effect that that's going to give you. I've also got some pectolase here, of which I'm probably going to add 1/4 teaspoon to 1 litre. I think that's the right ratio, because this is very cloudy and it will help it to clear, get rid of those pectins, get them to drop down to the bottom in the fermenter. And with the cold crash, that should clear it. If it doesn't, I'll add the bentonite, but shouldn't need to. I'm going to be using this is a 1.4 litre fermenter, which I bought specifically for these sort of micro brews, because I know I've got 400 millilitres to play with, you know, of headroom to play with, so that it doesn't bubble over. And these are great things, by the way. I'll bob a link down in the description. They're not a lot of money, they're off Amazon, they're great. Really little good fermenters. Right, that's about it. Let's clear this and let's get going. If you'd like to follow along with today's video with the full printout, with a full method, full ingredients list, full troubleshooting guide, click the link below, download the PDF. It will cost you less than a bar of chocolate. Okay, so first off we start with a clean and sanitized fermentation vessel. In my case a 1.4 litre fermentation vessel. We have our juice obviously. Now first thing I'm going to do is literally just pour this juice straight in. If you're brewing in the bottle, just take a little bit out, leave some room for your fermentation, of course. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pour in maybe a couple 100 millilitres into our fermentation vessel, like so. That smells really good. And I'm going to add our ingredients to here, all apart from the yeast, that is. Put the top back on and shake it up because it's just a lot easier than stirring in here. Let's get the wine tannin in. I'm going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of wine tannin. If you don't have this, the tea bag hack in the bottle, Peter. Okay, pectolase. It's a level teaspoon for a gallon, so for 1 litre, 1/4 teaspoon. 1/4 teaspoon of pectolase. Okay, now the Aspel's cider vinegar, I'm only using this because I haven't got any lemon in the house. You could use the juice of like 1/4 lemon, a teaspoonful for this. It just gives it that extra bite. Or you could crush a vitamin C tablet. I didn't even have any of those in the house. This is the third option, and the only option I could find without going to the shops. A teaspoon of cider vinegar. So I'm just going to get this roughly. These are thirds. That's 1, 2, 3. Right, that will give the cider that little bit of bite that we're looking for. You can also add some sugar to this, guys, if you want to up the strength a bit. You could use turbo yeast. You could experiment to your heart's delight, basically. But I'm going for a session cider. I want this to be not something that's going to knock your head off. Not rocket fuel, in other words, just a nice session cider. So, okay, top on tight. Give this a good shake. Get some oxygen in there. Mix everything up. Okay, That's lovely, well oxygenated. I can see the wine tannin hasn't mixed up very well in there. And I'm just going to pour the rest of this into here. Lovely froth. I'm going to get a reading. I've got a good idea of what this is going to ferment to, because obviously I know I've not personally added any extra sugars to this, so I know what's in it from the ingredients on the bottle naturally, because it gives you the breakdown. But nonetheless, I'm going to get a reading for us so that we have our opening gravity. I pour that in there. Okay, our opening reading is 1.046. I'm not going to get a close-up of that. There's no point. We're not, trying to break any records here or anything. So 1.046. This is sanitized, so I'm pouring that back in, of course. Okay, Lalvin D47, as I said, use whatever you've got, but certain yeasts retain fruity flavours better. This is one of them. We just need a 1/4 teaspoon for this batch. Okay, 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, I'm not even going to swirl that up. The yeast will do its thing. On goes the fermentation lid. These particular lids have a built-in airlock. How good is that? So you just screw it on tight, the airlock does its thing. Now we need to place this in a warm spot for 7 to 10 days, the usual I would have thought for this. Lalvin D47 is not a particular fast yeast, so this could take a couple of weeks. We'll see anyway. So I'm going to keep it between 18 and 22 degrees on the heating mat back there. If you haven't got that, guys, keep it somewhere warm. It's February, it's cold out there, depending on where you are in the world, of course. Okay guys, I'll see you in probably 7 to 10 days, maybe a couple of weeks. See you in a bit. Evening guys, we've got our apple and pear cider here, which I'm very excited about. It's been a week and I want to get a reading just to see if how things are going. Right, we'll go with this. Sorry, hang on. Right, let's have that out. It's starting to clear up as well, so I think we're looking good. Hydrometer will tell us. What do we got? Oh, we're hovering right on the 1.000 mark. It may well have a little bit more fermentation to go, guys. It's not quite dry, it's so close. 1.002 really, I would say, on the meniscus there. So, do you know, I'm going to cold crash that and we'll retain a little bit of the sugars there. It's at 1.002, maybe a tiny bit, no, 1.002. I think we'll call that so that we've got a bit of sweetness. So I'm going to cold crash that for the next day or two, and then we'll come back and we'll have a taste. I'll get a close-up of the reading for you. Okay, let's have that poured back. Very gently. In fact, that's stirring up a little bit the sediment, although let me get a bottle for this, guys, and we'll get it in a bottle. Okay guys, I'm going to pour this into a clean and sterilised PET bottle. And then I need a funnel for this pour, which isn't easy with these fermenters because you need big hands basically. This is going to be good. And then tilt your funnel as you go and then just pour. Okay guys, I am going to put the top on tightly now. So this may carbonate a little bit, because if that's still fermenting, which there is a chance that it is, at 1.002, there's a chance that that could still be fermenting, but it's towards the end of its fermentation, so if it does carbonate, it's not going to carbonate much. And once you cold crash, once you put these things in the fridge, the yeast tends to stop working anyway. It doesn't kill it, and it drops out of suspension and settles at the bottom. Okay guys, I will see you in a couple of days. Afternoon guys, we have our apple and pear cider here. Now, I cold crashed this just for the one day. It didn't clear much because it's that cloudy apple and pear juice that we started with. So if that doesn't bother you, which it doesn't really bother me that much, not for just a small batch, just leave it a couple of days, let it clear as much as it's going to clear, drink it cloudy, it's fine. I've added a little bit of bentonite to this just to get it to clear a little bit purely for the on-camera pour. You don't have to do that. I didn't have to do that either, but I have. It's an extra step which isn't 100% necessary. Plenty of ciders out there that are cloudy, they don't make you ill, it's purely an aesthetics thing. I prefer clear, and it's still not 100% clear. It's just a lot clearer than it was when I cold crashed it for a day. So let's get a pour. A good pour, because it's cold, it's chilled, it's weekend. No, it's not a weekend, it's Monday. Don't judge guys, it's Monday. It's Monday and it's not even dark. Okay, judge me. I'm not telling you what time it is. And you judge even further. Okay, so yeah, slightly cloudy. Even with bentonite, it'd probably clear up a bit more if I left it another day or two. Cold crash a bit more. But oh, it's beautiful on the nose. Oh, that smells so fruity. Oh God, I hope this tastes as good as it smells, guys. I really do. Apples and pears. Lovely citrusy. Oh, what can I say? It smells delicious. Please taste delicious. I'm going in, guys. Oh, it could do with a little bit of back sweetening. Just a tiny bit. If memory serves, it went to 1.002. So, or was it a bit higher? I'll put it up on the screen anyway. So I expected a little bit of sweetness there, and it's not. It's very dry. It's pleasant enough. Oh, a tiny bit of sweetness. I think a little bit of erythritol or even sugar, you know, but by adding sugar, you then risk the fermentation starting again, you know, and it going higher. So, which is dangerous if, you know, in bottles and that, because obviously you put the cap on tight, it starts to ferment again because you've added sugar, and then boom, especially in glass. So a little bit of non-fermentable sugar, a bit of erythritol would make that, just that little, would bring out the flavour of the pear and apple that little bit better. Have a bit more. Oh, do you know what? Was that the third gulp again? It was, wasn't it? The third taste. Yeah, it doesn't need it. Not for me anyway. You personally, you might want to add a little. For me, that's, yeah, that's sweet enough. Because as a session cider, I can't drink sweet cider in any quantity at all. I can't do it. I could drink 1 pint and that's it. Yeah, I only drink a pint, so it's enough anyway. There'll be people out there that know me that are, you lying swine, Rainford, you lying swine. 1 pint. Anyway, what I'm saying is, as a dry cider, a sharp cider, yeah, go out and drink a gallon of this. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I was going to say it's bordering on being a little bit thin, but that would be harsh. I can't really say that. It's not bad at all. Would I add something else to, you know, I think there are those of you out there that might say they want to sweeten that up a little bit, and by all means go for it. Just per litre add a couple of teaspoonfuls of non-fermentable sugar, erythritol. I've got some down here which I can show you. This stuff isn't cheap, sadly. I can't remember how much I paid for that bag, but it's a lot more expensive than sugar. But it tastes pretty similar to sugar. I hate sweeteners. You know, I can remember my dad putting sweeteners in cups of tea and coffee over the years, and I hate the taste of them. But this stuff tastes like sugar. I can have that in my coffee in the morning instead of a spoonful of sugar. And yes, you can tell the difference, but it's very similar is all I'm saying. So it's well worth it. You can add, like, you know, per litre, a couple of teaspoons full, like I say, stir it up and you'll get that extra sweetness if you crave that. And the yeast can't eat it. If you've killed the yeast off with potassium metabisulfate, well, fair enough. they haven't got that problem. But I rarely do that because I consume these brews unpressurized, you know, they're not in a glass bottle or anything, and cold crash they fall to the bottom. So by all means, add some of that, sweeten your brew up. I quite like that as it is. Yeah, that's nice. So guys, as a cheap hack, a Waitrose hack, £2.20 I think those bottles of apple and pear are. If you scaled it up, you would get a very pleasant, cheap brew. As always guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. There'll be plenty more coming as usual. That just leaves me to say cheers.